Well, all those hateful and rowdy anti-Israel protests on college campuses may be having an adverse effect on admissions. At least that's what we're hearing from one liberal arts school. Emerson College in Boston is placing the blame for low enrollment and possible staff cuts. Let's bring in the Lawfare Project CEO, Brooke Goldstein. Brooke, it's great to have you on the show as always. FoxNews.com writes the following here, quoting 3 Columbia University deans placed on administrative leave over disparaging text. It goes on to say 3 deans at Columbia have been placed on leave after screenshots of their text during an anti-Semitism panel, which included vomit emojis and dismissive texts, were shared online. I mean, this is anti-Semitic behavior at an anti-Semitism panel, and on it goes, Brooke.
Thank you, Trace, for always highlighting the rising Jew hatred and anti-Americanism that's happening on our campuses. But I'm happy to say that finally we are seeing some consequences. Finally, the hatred and the anti-Semitism is catching up with them at Columbia University. The question is, why has it taken so long? I want to give a little history lesson for a second, because I think it's very relevant. Back in the 1960s, the KKK decided it would be a good idea to have violent anti-black protests. They were attacking churches. And what happened? RFK and President Johnson at the time set up FBI field offices, and the issue became of such prominence that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was enacted and enforced. Again, in the 1990s, the KKK attacked the black community. And what did Bill Clinton do? He set up a commission, he closed the loopholes in the law, and he enforced the law. Now we have protesters at Columbia University and other universities that are taking advantage of loopholes in the law. They're wearing masks. They're not identified. They're not being arrested. They're not being prosecuted. You have police who are not enforcing the law. It is high time that the FBI takes this seriously and that the National Guard is put on the street to take control of this situation.
Yeah, and you talk about not prosecuting. I want to put this up because we played this a couple of weeks ago. So here is this New York subway train in New York, and this person says this. Watch.
Raise your hands if you're a Zionist! Raise your hands if you're a Zionist! This is your chance to get out! This is your chance to get out!
New York Post now writes, quoting here, anti-Israel protester who told Zionists to ID themselves on subway, now hides face from press after arrest following weeks of long manhunt. It goes on to say he was charged with attempted coercion and released with a desk appearance ticket. He faces up to a year in prison. Brooke, we know there's no consequences going to be facing this person.
And this is not anti-Israel. This is Jew hunting in the subways. And just like the prosecutors failed in the 1960s to go after the KKK, so too is Alvin Bragg failing to go after those who are hunting Jews down on the streets of New York. And I want to say this, anyone who has experienced harassment or assaults because they are Jewish or because they are Israeli should immediately reach out to me, reach out to the Lawfare Project. We want to hold the protesters, we want to hold the organizers and the funders of who are inciting violence accountable, but we need the plaintiffs to do so. The first step is for the Jewish community to stand up for themselves, and we must enforce the law in a civil capacity if we're to have any hope of this country remaining free for all minorities to continue to live with equal protection under the law.
All right. Brooke Goldstein, thank you for coming on. As always, we appreciate your time.